Session 50, Session 50, 15th December 2022. Exegesis of Quran, Quran summarized, that is, Quran explained in brief. We continue with Watawasa Bilhaq, Watawasa Bisabr. Give the path of those, give us the right path, the path of those whom you have rewarded, not the ones who earned your annoyance, the Jews, nor those who went astray. Ameen. Verses 6 and 7 of Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Surah Al-Azab 33, verse 31. وَمَنْ يَقْنُتْ مِنْ كُنَّ لِلَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَتَعْمَلْ صَالِحًا نُؤْتِهَا أجرها مرتين وأعتدنا لها رزقا كريما. Translation: and those of you wives of the Prophet ﷺ, who obey Allah and His Prophet and give a pious performance shall be rewarded twofold for it, and we have earmarked a generous sustenance, respect, and dignity for her. That was translation, now elaboration. Many a girls desirous of a respectable place in the family and the society for their education and qualifications get themselves disgraced through various types of bosses, people, and colleagues. Allah and the Prophet ﷺ are desirous that they please just one person at home. Allah and the Prophet ﷺ are desirous that they please just one person at home, that is the husband. But they now have to earn the pleasure of various categories of scoundrels. The wives of the Prophet ﷺ, the first addressees in this verse, are well above all and sundry in piety, spiritual elevation. The women among the believers are unlike their non-believing mushrikeen counterparts. The women among the believers are unlike their non-believing mushrikeen counterparts. When they fear Allah, they don't converse with other men unnecessarily, and if they have to, they don't speak softly, but indifferently and dryly to execute piety and faithfulness. It may be vexing, irritable for a moment, but prevents the man from engendering evil thoughts, evil designs, and carries long-term benefits for the entire society. In the first instance, the believing women are expected to remain in their houses. In the first instance, the believing women are expected to remain in their houses most of the time, only going out when necessary, unavoidable. Only going out when necessary, unavoidable. The women have not been made responsible to earn their living or support others. The women have not been made responsible to earn their living or support others. Allah and His Prophet ﷺ have made the male duty bound, responsible to sustain, look after, and meet all necessary requirements of the females in the family. Thus, a husband is responsible for his wife. Thus, the husband is responsible for his wife, a father for his daughter, and a brother to sustain, finance his sister who is without a father or husband. The son is directly responsible for everything as regards his mother and father, and the state becomes responsible for a woman without any earning male member to look after. That is an extremely rare case where a woman is without a father, husband, brother, or a son, and there's no other guardian too. If the husband dies, the court can't order the widow to pay his outstanding dues, loans, etc. But if the wife dies, the husband can be ordered to make the payments. A girl, a woman, is thus to stay at home, going out when necessary, that is, for education and some errands if unavoidable. And when they have to go out, they are expected to cover their body well, especially the attractive portions of the body, exposing only the face, if unavoidable, hands, and feet. Hijab, parda, has been ordered for the women by Allah. Hijab has been ordered for the women by Allah, and while going out, they must be in the company of a male member of the family, that is, a mahram, father or husband, brother or a son, or at least by another female, or at least by another female if no mahram is around. But for exceptional circumstances, a Sharia court can't order a single woman alone to appear as a witness. But for exceptional circumstances, a Sharia court can't order a single woman alone to appear as a single witness. One of the reasons that females are not expected to be alone. Second, that they can't sustain witnessing a criminal offense, lose their senses invariably with a great probability of fainting in the process. Thus, in the ordinary way, reliance is placed on evidence of two women. If on the evidence, if two women have witnessed the episode crime. Additionally, the Prophet ﷺ gave a great deal of respect to the women. The Quran doesn't like women being molested, threatened, pestered, to be dragged around to the courts. Moreover, not all cases are decided instantly. Cases are set over a minimum of 3 to 4 years for multiple reasons in almost all the third world countries. women have been saved many troubles, botherations, difficulties, inconveniences, and given tremendous respect, grace, and dignity by Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no dichotomy or paradox in Quran's concept of hijab. Whenever there came a fresh revelation, having addressed his male companions, the Prophet ﷺ moved to a similar gathering of the women folk, recited, elaborated, and explained the injunctions to them, a repeat lecture in sections. The believers have failed to comprehend the importance in Sunnah as regards education in general for the women in particular. The believers have failed to comprehend the importance in Sunnah as regards education in general and for the women in particular. A girl can study any subject she likes, no restrictions at all on going to schools, colleges, universities, technical, specialized institutions at all. The only restriction Quran ordains is to have separate institutions for the males and females. The only restriction Quran ordains is to have separate institutions for the males and the females. It is not gender discrimination by any standard. For example, if there are n number of universities in a city where boys and girls study together, it would be in the spirit of Quran to have half a number of universities for the girls and a similar number for the boys, depending on the proportion of girls and boys. In the history of mankind, Quran was the first to make the consent of the girl a priority for marriage. In the history of mankind, Quran was the first to make the consent of the girl a priority for marriage. Girls can't be forced to marry against their will. The girls can't be forced to marry against their will. To give them a stonking, excellent start and make the marriage bloom right from the beginning, and make the marriage bloom right from the beginning, and make the man conscious of his responsibility in this vital relationship. A gift from the bridegroom is a girl's Quranic right. A gift from the bridegroom is a girl's Quranic right. Marriage can't be consummated unless he gives the gift or pays or she consents to defer it to a time of her liking. The value of the gift is mutually decided and may vary from a few rupees, dollars, pounds to lakhs and millions, depending on the status of both and the ability of the man to give comfortably. Man is fallible, makes mistakes in almost all fields of life, marriage being no exception. If the frictions, differences, problems become insuperable. Allah and His Prophet Muhammad ﷺ have given a way to resolve the issue through an outside the court arrangement. Through an outside the court arrangement. The wife nominates, selects her representative, an elderly, experienced, trustworthy man from the family, or a family friend, etc. And so does the husband, to constitute an unofficial jury. All charges and counter-charges, allegations, the genuine and the quirky, tricky tricky entanglements analyzed, and the shortcomings pinpointed and attributed, and all possible efforts made to give the marriage a fresh new start. When repeated efforts fail to put the marriage back on the rails, the unofficial jury gets a divorce decided mutually, involving some terms, conditions, etc., keeping the scars, the wounds, and emotional setbacks of both to the minimum. This is the Quran's way of resolving marriage disputes. Of all things made permissible, Allah detests a divorce the most. Of all things made permissible, Allah detests a divorce the most. The believing women must offer regular prayers 5 times a day in their houses and give zakah and keep obeying Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, Surah Al-Azab, that is Surah 33, verse 35. إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والأخيين والأخيات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذكرات وعد الله لهم مغفرة أجرا عظيما. Translation of this verse 33, that is Surah Al-Azab, verse 35. Definitely Allah forgives and rewards extensively the Muslim men, those who have surrendered to the will of Allah, and the Muslim women having surrendered to the will of Allah, and the male faithful believers and the female faithful believers, and men subservient to Allah and the Prophet. I'm giving the direct translation till the end. And the women subservient to Allah and the Prophet, and the men who have proved the veracity, truthfulness of their commitment, faith, through their obedience to Allah and His Prophet, and the women who have proved the veracity, truthfulness of their commitment, faith, through their obedience of Allah and the Prophet, and men who follow Allah and His Prophet under trying difficult conditions and persevere and women who follow Allah and His Prophet under trying, difficult conditions and persevere, and men who are humble, humane, forbearing, and women who are humble, humane, forbearing, and men who spend in the way of Allah magnanimously, and women who spend in the way of Allah magnanimously, and the men who fast, and the women who fast, and the men who refrain from fornication, adultery, and the women who refrain from fornication, adultery, and the men who remember Allah extensively, keep Allah in mind at all times. Keep Allah in mind at all times and in all dealings, doings, and the women who remember Allah extensively, keep Allah in mind at all times. Keep Allah in mind at all times and in all dealings, doings. Allah forgives all and rewards them extensively. Allah forgives such men and women all and rewards them extensively. That's the end of today. Please pray for me. Shall meet tomorrow, inshallah, Allah be willing. Ex-Brigadier Mustansar Billah.